And you know what? We're live.
We're
I
live.
lost the intro. I lost the intro. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, legionnaires of all ages, welcome to In Our Opinion. I'm Nick the Geek, and I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, my co-conspirator, and my co-host. I'm joined by the king himself, Jimmy Bebe. Jimmy, how the hell you doing?
I'm fantastic besides this little head cold going on, but I'll power through like I always do. We'll get the show going, baby.
Nice. All right. This week, a little bit different because Survivor Series is coming up. In 2 weeks, I believe it is, Survivor Series. On Monday night, we got the announcement, on Friday night, we got the announcement of the fifth member for the new bloodline being Bronson Reed. Now, Jimmy, I'm going to let you cook because I believe you have a theory.
I have a fantastic theory. You don't want to go with yours first?
No, we'll start with you. This is fine.
Okay. So, a lot of people, because of things that have happened, I don't know anything about Raw spoilers. I saw like one, and then I saw pictures of Solo with Bronson, and I think those sent people into a spiral of like, oh, they're gonna make it be Seth now, and it's like I kind of see where you guys would get that idea, but I also like to wait and let things play out a little bit because sometimes they throw you for loopholes. And then as I was waiting to come onto the show today, I was thinking like, wait a second. I heard a fantasy book the other day that sounded crazy at the time. And I think the people who brought it up were just kind of spitballing because they didn't give you any reason for it. They just threw the name out there because it's a really awesome name. Yeah. And then I was like, hold on. It actually does make sense if you think about some certain aspects to it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe, I'm sure Monday night I'll be proven wrong tonight, but I'm an optimist. I always love to just want to see what I want to see happen. And I think it's going to be CM Punk. Ooh. And I know the idea. How does that even make sense? One second there.
Well, there is two ways I can see it make sense.
Okay. So do you want me to give you mine and then maybe you can add
on?
Yeah,
go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So obviously the number one thing here is Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has the connection between CM Punk and Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. I don't think anybody quite remembers a certain segment on SmackDown earlier this year where CM Punk came to SmackDown. Yeah, and Paul Heyman came out and was giving him a warning to leave. Yeah. And then it was interrupted by who? Solo and the Tongans.
Yeah.
And then Punk
Paul was like, please take me with you.
Yeah. Punk didn't back down. He was ready. He was ready to take them on. And then Cody Rhodes made the save and so on and so forth. Yeah. He had no issue against Paul. And he even at one point admitted like, hey, if there's anybody that can come in here and get a Chicago crowd to chant Roman Reigns over CM Punk, it's you, Paul. There was no animosity over the whole situation.
No.
Which is a very, very interesting point. Now, Seth Rollins was the first person that was asked to join them after Sami joined.
Yeah.
And he said, there is no way in hell I would ever join Roman Reigns. But then he also said he wouldn't join Solo Sikoa. I firmly believe that. Who has a feud coming up very, very, very soon? CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Now, we see them pass by, and there's no real reason for them to go at each other than like they have that thing. This is a way to kickstart it. Because Seth views CM Punk as a cancer. And he goes, how the heck can you come in here and help that son of a bitch? And that gives Seth all the reason in the world in his head, which would turn him heel, because that's what they do in WWE now. When they turn people heel, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In the heel's mind, they're right. And there's always a good case for it. So now he goes back after CM Punk because he helped Roman Reigns because, you know, heels get mad at stupid stuff like that. But again, it makes sense in his head. And if you go back to Survivor Series of last year, what was the big moment?
Punk's return.
What match was it after?
War Games.
And who was the person down at the end of the ramp outside of the War Games screaming, ready to rip CM Punk's head off?
Well, there were two of them, but mainly Seth Rollins.
Who was the other one?
Drew McIntyre.
Drew wasn't yelling.
Oh, he was.
the clip that is embedded in my head is Seth going ballistic. So I think
Seth is going ballistic, but Drew was not happy.
Oh, there's a big difference there, though. Drew wasn't happy. Seth was visibly putting on a show.
Pissed.
He was selling it. He probably wasn't happy and legit, but he was also selling it because money, baby. So the whole thing.
Evening, Russ.
What up, Russ? The whole thing with them asking Seth, Paul Heyman now being involved, that situation we had with Solo, Tongans, Paul, and CM Punk back in a few months ago, and now here we are to here. We're waiting for CM Punk's return. You don't think old school CM Punk wouldn't love an opportunity to get in a War Games match? Give me a freaking break. I'm fully on board because Seth, to me, wouldn't make sense. It would be lazy booking based on the fact that he already said there's no way in hell he'd do it. CM Punk makes way more sense than Seth Rollins at this point.
Well,
and I think that
to add in,
okay,
not only does Punk make sense, but Punk makes sense from another standpoint. If we turn our brains back to 2013, when the Shield debuted, who did they debut to help?
CM Punk.
Exactly.
Here's another one. Literally just popped in my head. Who's one of CM Punk's best buds on Raw? Jey Uso.
Yes.
He loved they have shown them on social media doing all sorts of stuff together, and on screen I think they've had a few little things together. They're buds. Makes sense.
It does make sense. And we do like to make it make sense here at Wrestling Legion. You heard it first, gentlemen. This man has a track record of, well, I couldn't give you the figures, but he's got a damn good track record on these things.
Well, so the fab thing I said the other night, that was great.
Yeah, that was just insane, Jimmy. I don't know where
I was
that came
trying
from.
to make something happen for the woman, man. I like her. And she proved me right as far as
apparently they were going crazy for her backstage at Gorilla as well. So
at the very least, I did look good in the sense that I think if she looks good, give her the opportunity. And she looked good. So they gave her an opportunity. And I did call it before they even announced her in the tournament. So
you did.
I'll give myself like a 25% credit on that one.
Well, sticking with Survivor Series and sticking with War Games, because I know we've both seen this spoiler. The women's War Games match will be settled. Spoilers, folks, in 3, 2, 1. Will be settled tonight as the two women's teams are the following. Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Candice LeRae versus the women's tag team champions of Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Io Sky, Naomi, and the returning Rhea Ripley with a broken face mask. Which is clearly not that broken because she headbutts Liv Morgan on her debut, on her return. Now, I've heard different opinions on this. For me, the teams make sense. If they're going to do a women's War Games match and the heel team is going to be the team that they have assembled, this kind of makes sense. Kind of. Except for one person. Io Sky. Io is the number one contender. Io is the number one contender for Liv's title. I'll give you that. But Bayley would have made a lot more sense in this match. Bayley has got 6 months of history with Nia Jax. Bayley has got everything that's going on with Naomi and her friendship at the moment. Bayley has got everything that's going on with her and Bianca Belair for the past year, putting a bit of indecisiveness into the match. Can they coexist? The old classic thing, which in a War Games match is always very good. Can they coexist? Because they have to, because it's a team effort and they have to build things to go forward. I'm a huge fan of Io Sky. I know why she's in this match. Because she's crazy and she does things like moonsaults off the top of cages while wearing trash cans. But I don't think it adds to the story of this match. What do you think?
I think the whole match is forced. Because Liv and Nia teaming doesn't make sense. They just wrestled each other. I'm really upset with how they've been treating Liv Morgan recently, honestly. The Rhea Ripley thing, why rush her back so quick? Like, I don't get that.
I know.
You could have input Bayley into Rhea's spot, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that I just don't like about it. And I was talking to my buddies about this. Do you remember on NXT a few weeks ago, they had that 5-on-5 match for the ECW show, I think it was?
Yes.
That would have been a better War Games match to have for the women than
I
this
agree.
one. And it would have been a
I
great
agree.
opportunity to get eyes on your new signings like Stephanie Vacker
And Jordan Grace.
Julia and Jordan Grace, and give Kalani Jordan, who is someone who they seem to have a lot of hope for, a real bright spot. I mean, if you remember a few years ago, Cora Jade, she shined in her War Games match, and she's been hot ever since. I think this is kind of a thing you could have done with Kalani Jordan. And again, it would have been one that made sense and maybe possibly got more people to kind of go over to NXT and see what was going on. I just don't like. I'll watch the match and I'll watch it objectively. Like if it's good, it's good. I'll enjoy it, but it is missing the story.
There's a certain level of je ne sais quoi
that
is missing from this match.
Like you said,
it's like
Io's in it because she's crazy. She's going to do something off the cage. And it'll probably be on Liv Morgan because Liv Morgan is like
also crazy.
For whatever reason, the person they want to treat like poop right now. I don't get this match, but
I do
like the idea of the women possibly stealing the show because they have so much to prove, though.
Yes.
So
I would agree with that. But we're going to move on to Liv. Now, pop quiz, Jim. How many people has Liv Morgan defended the World Heavyweight title against since you lost it, since you won it?
She's defeated Zelina Vega, and she's defeated Rhea Ripley twice. I think that's it.
And we'll throw Nia Jax in there just because.
It wasn't a defense, but I mean, yeah.
It wasn't a defense, but we'll throw Nia in there because it was a big victory. Now, Liv is currently, for those people living under a rock, the Women's World Heavyweight Championship and attached to the biggest heel and fastest rising star in the company in Dominic Mysterio. And yet, for some reason, Triple H, now I get it's Rhea. Rhea is the biggest star in the women's division right now. She's effectively Becky Lynch's current replacement, right, for top female star on Raw.
Yeah, she's one of the top 5 superstars in all of wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt.
I will never. However, I will never be upset the way Rhea gets pushed because she should be.
Oh, completely agree with that. However, Liv Morgan is the World Heavyweight Champion. And as the World Heavyweight Champion, you should be due a little bit of respect in the way you are booked. Now, you can go off to all the Liv haters and all the people that love Liv. It doesn't really matter. From a logical booking standpoint, your champions, even if they are supposed to be a pissant, cowardly heel like Liv is, they should be booked with a certain amount of strength in their character. Not necessarily that she wins all of the matches on her own, because obviously she has Dom to help her and so on and so forth. But there should be a certain amount of strength booked in that character. Not, she kind of wins sometimes because
Andy's
of Dom.
Ready for you.
Thank you. Hello. Didn't see you.
What up, Andy?
And we are joined by the Redeemer himself. We are joined by Andy. Andy, question for you.
Go on.
Right. We're going to go backwards because we've just talked about this. The Women's War Games match. Do you know who the teams are?
No.
Right.
Do you want to be spoiled?
Do you want to be spoiled or do you want to wait for Raw?
Go for it.
Spoilers. It is Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Candice LeRae versus the Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, Io Sky, Naomi, and Rhea Ripley. See that look right there?
Yeah.
It's exactly the point, folks, that we have been trying to get across for the past 5 minutes. Andy, have at it.
Do we not have baby faces or heels anymore?
Apparently not.
I mean, we do, but they just clumped them all
Threw it
together
out
for no reason.
Fair enough. That's the way they want to go. I mean, maybe it's just that they're looking at it from a point of view as what's going to make a banger match.
No, I could give it that. But we were just discussing this. We're going to move on with Liv. Liv's the world champion.
Well,
She's
let's
attached to...
backpedal on the Rhea Ripley thing real quick, though.
Okay.
Because it's attached to Liv. Liv and Raquel took her out with baseball bats. What, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. And now
in the most dangerous place in wrestling.
And then she's already back tonight to fill in for a spot to go into War Games. That's a problem. She didn't sell the beat down at all. No. And again,
she has got a mask on though.
But still,
She does
like,
have a mask, which she uses to headbutt Liv Morgan tonight.
bro, if I took a baseball bat to someone's face, it's going to take them 2 weeks to be able to get into shape to fight me. If we're being even somewhat
I don't
realistic
know, because,
here.
like, you know, if you're a real fighter, you know, like, I'm not being funny. If someone hit me with a baseball bat, mate, if I went to the hospital, I was getting my face fixed and I had a mask on, I'd be right out right after them straight away. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be waiting. I'd be going right after them there and then. I wouldn't care.
Part of my issue with it, though, is
Hey,
like,
Russ.
we'll move into the Liv Morgan stuff now that he was about to jump into. Liv has been booked pretty poorly and weak.
Yeah.
This adds to that, in my opinion, because you jumped her in a parking lot with your big bad Raquel Rodriguez with 2 baseball bats, and then she's already back, not even a full 2 weeks later, to get her revenge on you, and you're running away like a cowardly heel.
Yeah.
And there's more I could go into with the Liv Morgan booking, but I'll let Nick go back into what he was saying. I just think it's that in itself is insane, because we could have put Bailey in Rhea Ripley's spot and it would have made just as much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then would it have done having Io Sky and Bailey on the same team?
But that's the thing. Bailey's whole angle at the moment in WWE is, can she be trusted? Bianca doesn't trust her, but Naomi does. Jade doesn't trust her. Right?
Io probably
Io
would have a hard time trusting her.
Probably
Well,
would have
no,
a hard
Bailey
time
would have a hard
trusting
time trusting Io. So you have a lot of
Same
stuff
thing.
in that makes
So
it
you
much
can
more
have the
interesting.
whole, can they coexist on the good guys side, going in when all the bad guys are unified, when at the same time on the bad guy side, you've got, can Liv trust Nia, considering Liv just beat Nia in Saudi Arabia for the big ugly green belt.
And ultimately what it would do is, since the baby faces have so much dissension between them because they don't know who can trust who, if, and I would hope, the bad guys won this, it would at least make the baby faces not look terrible, because it's like, well, we just weren't on the same page and they were. And they just kind of were more cohesive unit than we were, and that's why they lost. It just, man, yeah, this match is a mess as far as the booking goes. The match itself will be fun. I think the booking has been.
It has.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is all over the place straight away, and it was. Don't know.
Andy?
I'm one of them at the moment. You know, to be honest, I always think at the moment it's kind of my attitude is just give it a chance, because there's been a few times where I'm like, you know, kind of and hard and all the rest of it, and then I've really enjoyed it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm the king of that.
We've just both said the match is probably going to be fantastic. Like I said before, Io's in there because she's insane, and we'll do something crazy off the cage, like put herself in a trash can and then moonsault with.
Can I just say something about that though? Right, so this is something that pisses me off in WWE at the moment and I think it really annoys me. And they do it every year in Money in the Bank, and they do it a few times. Is like, when you get to that point where you're gonna get that spot from that person needs to stop with the, are you ready? Are you ready for me? Are you ready for me? As though, like, you know, they waited the whole match for this one point and they're so excited about it. And it's like, you know, it really annoys me, because it's like, well, you're about to put yourself, like it's about putting your body on the line. You should look scared, not kind of, are you ready,
or at least mildly concerned.
Yeah.
At least mildly concerned.
Because it's like, this is my time to shine, you know, that type of.
I think it works for certain characters, though. I think because certain characters are crazy, and it's like, oh, I'm ready to go. But then certain ones definitely should be doing what you're saying, though. I 100% agree. Case in point, Chelsea Green is amazing at it.
Yeah, Chelsea's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Chelsea doesn't really show that she's going to do anything. It just happens, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? She's a perfect example of what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also it's relative to the match instead. The other thing I don't like with them points is sometimes it's totally against the grain of where the match is going, but they'll put it in there just because it's got to be in there. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
overkill.
You know, I always give AEW shit for that, is in terms of, like, you know, putting stuff in that doesn't need to happen. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, they need to get it as well sometimes, WWE.
Yeah. Right, well, just going backwards again, another bit, Andy. Jimmy has a theory on who the fifth man is for the good guys, which we'll cover again in a sec. Andy, who do you think the fifth man is?
Seth Rollins. But I've got a theory around the whole fifth. The fifth man could be Brock Lesnar. It could be something, and do like the other thing is, I think Sai said this to me the other day, and it made a lot of sense. I said CM Punk to Sai, but I also believe the fifth man could be The Rock, and we could get the fifth man Hogan spin.
Whose side is he on?
Yeah, and he ends up going on the other side. And I also think
that's what my Andy thinks.
The other thing that I think Paul Heyman's going to be with The Rock. After SmackDown, when he phoned the Wise Man and it went through and said that we weren't connecting, right? If you're looking to do Rock at WrestleMania for whatever reason you're looking on doing it, and The Rock can't commit to weekly television, which he won't, maybe Paul Heyman's his voice piece that can carry that for him.
I think Rock carried a pretty good schedule last year.
He did, but maybe he can't this year, Jim, and maybe he's looking at it and going, well, I can't do what I've done last year. How do we get from A to B? And it's like, Paul Heyman's really good at carrying that A to B when you're not there.
This is true.
He did have an interview recently. He did have an interview recently where he said, like, don't listen to anything you're hearing because I'm all the way in and fully invested on doing whatever I can do to make things work. So if I got to do this, I will make sure, because he's a board member, so he's very invested at that point.
Oh, 100%, and that's where I think maybe having. I mean, it was literally only because. Hello, Simon.
What up, Simon?
Hey guys, Simon.
It's all right, mate.
It was only because with that whole thing where he went to ring the Wise Man and the phone went off, and I was thinking, what are you doing with Heyman? And then I was thinking, okay, well, if you're gonna do The Rock for Mania, but he can't be there all the time. It's a good way to fill the time and get, and as you said there, it was also echoing in my head as that bit where The Rock said, I'll make it work. And it's like, okay, well, how can you make it work? Well, if I can't be on weekly TV and I've got Paul Heyman there as my mouthpiece, makes a lot of sense.
So one question to add on to that, though, did you see the thing Sami Zayn did with the Bloodline backstage the other night? Yes. When they were all backstage in the locker room, he threw the phone down. Do you think that phone has anything to do, or do you think it was just something they caught on accident because he didn't want to take his phone?
I think maybe it's something they caught by accident where he's just showing that he's trying to find the fifth man.
I thought the timing was interesting. That's
different stories, and this is one thing I'm really liking because I feel like the bloodline's starting to bubble again, and I feel like we're getting that. There's that them two are different stories in the same overall story arc, if that makes sense.
Well, on the subject of the bloodline bubbling again, I think one of the reasons the bloodline has increased is because Solo's added a certain level of goofiness to his character. In his promos and his delivery. There's a lot more personality coming out of Solo Sikoa in recent weeks.
That's fucking
a lot more personality coming out of him. I mean, our Andy calls him So-So Sikoa. And has done for quite some time. Because everybody knows the reason Solo stayed on the main roster without getting sent back down to NXT was Roman. It's public knowledge now that Roman said he wants him on the main roster. He thinks he's ready and so on and so forth. That he's not. And I think that Solo in the last month, at the very least...
Okay, let me ask you this question for everybody here then, right? Since WrestleMania, the way Solo's carried it, whether you like him or you don't, do you think he was ready for the main roster?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. I think that proves everything you need to know. Is like over the like him or you don't, and you might not agree that he's still a bit green and he needs to work on certain points, but overall, he's done a fantastic job, in my opinion.
I don't think it would have worked for him as well had he not been able to be attached to the bloodline, though. I think
100% on his own, he wouldn't have got there. But at the end of the day, you deal the cards.
For sure. I'm not do what you do, man. And he's made the best of it. So
and I think he's made the best of it. But also, I think he's done a damn good job of keeping it going because really, let's look at it. This is a big storyline, and the fact that he's got us from then to now, where it's starting to bubble over again. He's kept it simmering quite well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I love to hear you say that. Not a lot of people give him that credit.
No, he deserves it. He deserves it. Well, it's not only that, but I mean, when you consider who he's got there, I mean, Jacob is phenomenal. I think we can all agree. Jacob Fatu is. He's Sai. You've been singing his praises since his MLW days.
Yeah, I've watched him for 3 or 4 years, and I don't know. It's like he channels the best of the whole family. So he kind of takes the best of Rikishi, the best of Haku, the best of Umaga, and kind of mixes it all into one. And he's like a beast, isn't he? He's like an animal.
Yeah.
But he's technically sound. He can take high risks. That guy, he's the total package.
Yeah.
I think one day Jacob will be a world champion. I agree. I can't say the same about Solo.
No.
Si, I've just rubbed your fingers well, mate. Then before you come on, I was telling the guys because they were going on about CM Punk being the fifth man, and I said, well, I agree with that up until Si come out with the fifth man Hogan Rock style.
Was that what we talk about the fifth man?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to
So
ask you who you think the fifth man is going to be, so go for it.
Well, like I said to you guys over the weekend, I've kind of got 3 theories, all of which should be pretty cool. So with Heyman being involved, obviously you've got people saying, oh, is it Brock? But then at the same point, we're reading this past week from different sources that Brock is never going to come back, which, it is what it is. Could that bring Punk in? Punk kind of needs a story in a direction. And if he were to take the spot that people think would be Seth's spot, then it also builds a story between him and Seth, right? That's option 1.
Great mind, Jimmy.
Option 2, which you guys have, like you say, Andy, you've already talked about, was I think it's Tonga Loa still isn't 100% after his eye injury. He's not actually been wrestling.
Correct.
So you guys, I'm going way back here, but you remember Survivor Series 93? It was like Taker and Luger and Yokozuna in the main event, 4-on-4, and the Steiners and the Quebecers. And half the teams ended up getting switched last minute with Tatanka getting injured and one of the Steiners getting taken out. I'm wondering if Triple H is channeling that kind of error, because you don't need Tonga Loa in that match. Right, now, bear with me. Say he gets injured early and taken out. So you've got a 4-on-4 situation. You're waiting for the mystery partner. You're expecting the mystery partner to be going on the original Bloodlines team. The Rock comes out. But whose side is he on? Yeah, it's the perfect time to come out right at the end of the match, do 2 moves, win the match, join the bad guys, make it all make sense. And what was my third option?
Seth.
Cody. So at the minute,
Oh.
you've got Sammy saying that he might ask somebody else. LA Knight said no. I forget who else we've had.
Seth said no.
Seth said no. Which, to be honest, I know there's a lot of people really against it online. I wouldn't mind Seth and Roman. There's no reason why they can't make amends again. They've done it before.
The reason they can do it in the storyline is Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul could literally convince Seth to do it on the premise that Seth gets Roman at some point down the line.
Seth don't really like Paul, though, either.
No, true.
It could just be that they've written the Paul thing out of it. We don't know.
That's very true. Very true.
If Sammy were to ask Kevin, okay, and then Kevin could possibly just beat the crap out of Sammy and walk off.
Yeah.
That would bring in Cody. But I don't think any of us really
considering they're not doing Kevin versus Cody at Survivor Series, they're saving it for Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
So it's an entire possibility.
Yeah.
Nobody wants Cody near that match.
No. We've had enough Cody bloodline. We have. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that point. So, right, moving on, guys, over to the other side of the fence to AEW.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do.
I can't believe
they exist, Andy. You have to accept this.
So does it win it on a hairy ass, mate? But doesn't mean it's any good.
Yeah, but that's not a wrestling company. This is. Deal with it. All right. AEW have currently been running a storyline that Jimmy and I have dubbed NWO Violent. They've been running it for several weeks. And unfortunately, I think it's taken a big nosedive. Because
wow, we're on the same page. Thank goodness.
I think it's taken a big nosedive due to the fact that what started off with a complete vilified group that were trying to destroy the company from the inside have now turned around and basically said, we're anti-heroes. We're doing it to make the company better. Now, I get the Orange Cassidy match. It's the old NWO adage. You start at the bottom, you work your way up through the challenges till you eventually reach the peak. And regardless what anybody wants to say, Orange Cassidy is the bottom level World Heavyweight Championship contender in AEW. Darby Allin being the final one.
Orange Cassidy is kind of like the DDP that was taking on NWO. That's how I would view Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I mean, I call it, just to let you know, I call it NW Blow.
You would.
At this point, I'm not even against it.
Just on Cassidy, I mean, I know he's got a lot of fans out there, but I don't see Orange Cassidy challenging for the world title as being a pay-per-view main event. It should be a Dynamite main event.
Is he classed as a pillar?
Here's
No.
here's why it should be
Not
though.
maybe.
Based on prior booking, he is a person who has beat John Moxley. So
Yeah.
there is that
Yeah.
in for the fans that he's booking this show for, which is what I try to keep in mind when I'm looking at these things and trying to make sense of them. In that fan's perspective, he is kind of a great hope because of the fact he has done
Yeah.
this before. And I think that's why you can make it a main event. Had the angle worked out better, had it stayed as hot as it was a few weeks ago, I think it would be a lot easier to look at it and say, I'm cool with it because I'm looking at it more for the angle as opposed to the match. But now I'm kind of over the angle because it's just a lot of rinse and repeat. And now it's like that main event don't really look that appetizing.
No.
I mean, I can see the flip side of it. So, you know, Cassidy's got experience. I think I first saw him either 3 or 4 years ago when I was telling all you guys about him, and he was like coming through PWG, and he was a little more violent, a little more high flying, but he did the pockets gimmick a hell of a lot more then than he does now. But he's got that kind of edge to him, and he will make Mox look pretty big and pretty violent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does kind of work. I just don't see it as a pay-per-view main event. But
No, that's the problem I have. I like Orange Cassidy. I've got nothing against him. I think he's a phenomenal worker, and I think he's done absolutely excellent work for AEW over the last 5 years. However, that gimmick, it's the gimmick.
well, yeah, it's eased off
It's
though. I
never-
remember saying like a year ago, it's the same. He needs to switch it up. He needs to, you know, evolve a little
He
bit.
has,
with it.
admittedly.
It's less
No.
now than it was then, and it's been changed up a little bit.
No, I'll admit that he has. I like the catchphrase of having no catchphrase. I think that's a good sign-off line, and so on and so forth. But that's not the whole point of Moan with this that I want to talk to you guys about. Now, I said my unpopular wrestling opinion a few weeks back was that Darby Allin was not ready to be World Heavyweight Champion. We all know this. I got a lot of shit on Twitter over this. But yeah, I know it is. However, I honestly believe that at this point in the story, unless the worst case scenario happens, which is a Young Buck flavored scenario, that Darby Allin is the obvious choice to be the guy to beat John Moxley and to finish this storyline off. Simon, why would you disagree?
Because one thing Tony Khan has done a couple of times that he needs to do now is pull the trigger on the most marketable, recognizable face in the company, and that is my man, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is the man that should take that title next. I understand Darby, Orange, Garcia, guys like this getting shots in the meantime. It makes a lot of sense. But Bobby Lashley, probably by, I don't know, March, April, or Double or Nothing in May, should be the next guy to take that belt because he's not getting any younger.
In that case, let's make it make sense. You do like to make it make sense, Simon. So,
It makes sense.
if we take our brains back to a wonderful time during the pandemic in WWE, there was a certain group called Retribution. They were basically doing what Moxley's lot are doing now, but at a much more comedic level. Now, who was the people to step up and say, we can deal with these people for you? It was her business. You do the exact same thing with Tony. You do the exact same thing with Tony Khan in AEW. You have MVP approach Tony Khan. It would involve Tony being on TV, which is never a good thing, but it would have to happen. And basically turn around and say, well, we can solve this problem for you. We can get rid of Moxley. We can do all of this, but we want the world title.
What are they called now?
The Hurt Syndicate.
All right, so it's still business based.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I agree with Sai. You want to start pulling it up. You need to start putting people who are of that level. Do you know what I mean? We've tried this shit with the whole experiments and everything else, but you need to get somebody who's right up there now.
Well, there is another name floating about who currently believes AEW doesn't need him.
Kenny Omega.
Correct. Kenny Omega.
I'll be 100% behind that one. You know,
Yeah.
Kenny's first.
Kenny
reign,
makes
I think,
sense.
Yeah.
It makes.
Do
a lot
want
of
to,
sense.
by the way, thought it was a good idea to let Kenny go to Japan and
We're going to bring that subject up in a minute. Kenny did. Kenny did an interview the other day, and he was asked why he's returning to New Japan instead of AEW. And in Kenny's own words, they don't need me right now. New Japan does. Now,
Who's paying the
I
money?
think this is, I think this is crazy. I think the one thing that AEW needs right now is Kenny Omega. They've lost Brian. They've lost Edge. They've lost a lot of, Adam Copeland. There's a lot of people that are big names in AEW right now that are either out with having surgery or on the shelf indefinitely.
That's like Colonel Sanders saying, I don't need KFC, don't need me. I'm going to go and chill at Mackey's for 6 months.
No, come on, dude.
So
look, Kenny's home, right? New Japan.
Yeah.
It's where Kenny's always been his best.
outside of
This is the other
Swerve,
side.
outside of Swerve, who's busy, and outside of Will Ospreay, who's busy, what big babyface do you have? None.
That's why Orange Cassidy's challenging for the world title.
Kenny Omega's crazy, or he don't give a F anymore.
But at the same time, if we have to look at this from both sides, and New Japan have a relationship with AEW where they have received and gained nothing. Like, if you look at the Forbidden Door as a two-way street, AEW have got Okada, AEW have got Jay White, AEW have got Will Ospreay, AEW have got Aussie Open, they have got Takeshita. The amount of people that have gone from Japan to AEW, which has whittled down New Japan's roster, is quite extensive.
New Japan got Jungle Boy for a few weeks.
Yeah, Joy.
Oh, well, that's
Right,
a fair trade.
Yeah, that was a fair trade. So right now, having Kenny Omega, New Japan kind of do need Kenny at this point. They don't have a big top gaijin star currently in New Japan, and Kenny Omega is received like a god in that company. They absolutely adore Kenny Omega in Japan. So I can perfectly understand Kenny's point of view of wanting to help out New Japan. But as far as the rhetoric of AEW not needing him right now, it's ridiculous. Because one thing AEW need, as you just pointed out, Jimmy, is a big babyface who isn't involved in a storyline.
You were talking about baby faces that lost for like one reason or another. Just let's add CM Punk and Sting to that list. You know?
Yeah, massively. Well, I'd say
The biggest ones.
the biggest ones, like the two biggest draws in the company. Like, regardless of what anybody says, there was name value, and then there was Sting and CM Punk.
Yeah.
Sting may have been in the 60s, but that's still a lot of name value, especially for older fans.
Sting,
And CM Punk is the biggest name draw they ever had in AEW, and a certain Jungle Boy fucked that up for everybody.
A few people did, but
Well, quite a few people, but he was the instigator. Well, yeah, that's true. All right, but we are going to talk about one thing now, gents. We're going to talk about the AEW World Tag Team Championships.
Nobody
Because
no,
you don't care, Andy.
Nobody.
There are plenty of people that do care, Andy. We will get back to WWE in a bit.
No, it's not even because of that, mate. It's literally make me care. It's you think I'm like a WWE shield, mate? That's not the case.
Yeah.
I used to really like watching AEW. If you remember back in the day, I even used to write the takeaways for AEW.
This is why I'm getting to this match. Now, there's a certain team in this match, which, in my opinion, are the best team in professional wrestling right now. The Outrunners. The Outrunners are the best thing in tag team wrestling in the modern day. There is nothing more over. There is nothing more entertaining. There is nothing more fun than an Outrunners match in tag team wrestling right now. In tag team wrestling.
I mean, I don't know.
You got to think about it. You ain't got an answer.
No. I mean, there's my boys on NXT. You know, Nathan Frazier and
Axiom.
They're a good tag team, but
they're a great tag team.
They are a great tag team, and I love myself in NXT. So,
all right, I'll give you that.
They have one part of it.
Right? Now, my question for you boys is because the Kings of the Black Throne are in this match, which is Brody King and Malachi Black. They are going to have tremendous add-on. They'll do a great bit of work in this match. The Outrunners are in this match. Obviously, Private Party are in this match. And hopefully the soon-to-be split up Acclaimed are in this match.
Mm.
Get
them out. Put GYV in there. That's what it needs.
Agreed. But Grizzled Young Veterans just won the New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships, which is why Tony ain't booking them.
Mercedes got a New Japan Strong title, and he books the shit out of her.
Yeah, but he's paying Mercedes $13 million a year.
Hey, booking's maybe not the only thing he's trying to do.
Right. But, lads, what is your opinion on this match? Who do you think is going to win? And do you think, I know I do, that they should just take the belts off Private Party and put them straight on the Outrunners before the Outrunners cool off? Sorry, whichever. Go.
I think it's pretty obvious that the House of Black aren't winning. I get booking Malachi in some matches that he wants to do and putting people over on his way out, but there's no point putting him in a title match because you know he's not going to win it. Yeah, you know, Private Party have had their little run. Do we know yet? Is it because one of the books got injured? Is that why they got
one of them was injured?
Nick Jackson apparently has shoulder issues.
Okay. But yeah, no, I'd put the belts on the Outrunners. Just to the moon.
Because the one thing we can get after that is the FTR runners wrestling each other.
So that's why I'm going to be different here. I don't think Outrunners should win, and I don't think they have a chance of winning because I think this is the Private Party's first defense.
Yes.
So they're not losing in their first defense. And if the Outrunners aren't winning, I want it to be because the FTR screwed them over. Have them run their program with FTR and then circle back to win the titles. Hopefully, they'll still be over. I think a program with FTR would do that, hopefully. And then you put the titles on them and shoot them to the moon. But then again, you have the Outrunners and Private Party. I don't know if you book that match and have the Outrunners beat Private Party. It doesn't really make sense. So as excited as I was about the tag team division a few weeks ago, it's now kind of a jumbled mess again. And I think it's going to be some time, if ever, if the Outrunners even get their opportunity, which is fucking blasphemous.
Yeah.
It was so easy. It was so simple. And if Tony's going to do something every single time, it's screw up the most simple thing he could possibly do. And this is the perfect example of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right. Anyway, Andy, you'll be pleased to know that's all we're talking about in AEW for today.
I don't like AEW. It's just at the moment, it's absolute dog shit.
No, I know, which is why you don't like talking about it. So.
You've been saying that for 5 years and a few months, dude.
Even like Ring of Honor. Do you know like how excited I was when they brought Ring of Honor back in? We went to Supercard of Honor in 23 and it was like so exciting and all like that. Some great matches on there. And just like anything, he just pisses it against the wall.
Well,
can I make
we are going to talk. Of course you can.
Real quick before you move on from AEW, sorry.
So I've got one more AEW thing to talk about. Actually, I lied.
Okay, well, in terms of who's going to beat Mox, right? I know the way TK books. Let me get this right. In 2022, I predicted every match of the year. Rampage, Dynamite, pay-per-views, and I got 7 matches wrong the whole year out of how many hundred it was. Right? I know how Tony Khan books, right? And I'm putting my reputation on the line with this one because the man who's going to beat Mox, right? In 1 year, 2 months and 2 weeks from now, he will be 100-0. And that man is Hologram. Okay. Save this. Save it.
I thought he was about to say something serious for a second.
Me, right. On to the subject of a very nice, very evil gentleman. Now, it's been released today in the news because today was a slow news day, and whenever it's a slow news day, Danhausen gets brought up. That Danhausen has just reached record merch sales for AEW.
No way.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. He's outsold everyone in AEW history on merch sales as of today. Now, Danhausen, for those of you that didn't know, hasn't been booked since before last Halloween.
No.
No. Apparently, Brian Danielson.
He also
Brian-
buys a lot of his own shit. Let's be honest.
Yes, he does. Hey, boys, what that was the first time why did AEW have Shawn Diesel still around?
Because Tony's a virgin.
Ah, Dale.
Because Tony Khan's a fucking idiot, Dale.
Just to show that we're not biased just towards one company. You know, it's just as stupid as like, why this week? And yes, I'm segueing back to SmackDown. But why this week are we having Tommaso Ciampa turning heel on Montez Ford, who's also turning heel? It makes no sense.
No.
Why have you got Io Sky in a tag team with Rhea Ripley, Babyface, and fucking whoever else from War Games? It happens both places, mate. It's like,
It
for
does.
instance, it's like the same thing as they do with these women's championships. They put them on. They've got one thing in store for them. I mean, Liv Morgan's was pretty good, but there's no plan for after Rhea. And that's the same thing with Cody. There was no plan after Roman. You know, they do it far too often.
So for Danhausen, the last match he had in AEW was December 30th, 2023. And then the last match he had with the AEW and Ring of Honor together was February 14th, in which he defeated Brandon Cutler. Amazing.
Yes. Amazing. Now, my point is this. Now, I get with the current attempt to make AEW a super serious product with the Death Riders and everything else, and the Hurt Syndicate and everything else that's going on, that Tony Khan may think that Danhausen doesn't quite fit.
Can I call bullshit on that right out the gate?
Of course,
because we were just talking about the Outrunners.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't make any sense. We know what this is, and it's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. If this man who's not on your television is making you this kind of money, just imagine what he could do for you if you put him on TV.
Well, the best example is pop quiz. How many action figures has Danhausen had?
I own 3.
31.
In AEW.
I couldn't tell you, but I mean, I'll look up.
0.
1.
As far as I know
he's got 2 at least, because I have 1,
4.
I have the Chase, and I have this special one right here.
As far as I know, 4. This is 4. As far as I know, AEW action figures.
And then he also has the one with Hook. So that's 4.
That is 1 action figure for every year that Danhausen has worked for AEW.
Has he been there 4 years?
I think so. I'm sure he signed in 2021. I'm sure he signed.
He got there after Adam Cole.
4 years next year.
He got there after Adam Cole.
Feels like about 3.
Oh, right. No, okay, 3 years. So he's had more action figures than he's had years in the company. Right now, as we just stated.
Probably Moxley wanted to call it the Death Eaters, but Warner Brothers Discovery didn't want to subject a good intellectual property to AEW. So don't blame them. I wouldn't give them nothing either.
No, either.
And he also says Bianca and Ford both need.
The point is this:
Agreed.
Even if he doesn't want to put Danhausen on the weekly AEW product because he's not serious enough, you've got a Ring of Honor sat right there, which could desperately use more eyes on the product. Danhausen definitely has a fan base that follow him.
Hold on, sorry. Is this the official reason why he's not on TV? Because he's not serious enough?
No. So they said that he turned down being a regular on Collision. That's what they've said. But we know how these things work. If they want to paint someone in a bad way, I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but if they want to, they'll sit there and say he's difficult to work with.
Especially when that person is the best friend of one Phil CM Punk Brooks.
Oh, imagine that. So is Malachi Black, and look how he's been.
And look how he's been treated. And so is Ricky Starks, and he hasn't been on TV in 6 months.
The only one that's kind of survived it is FTR, but they do a lot of bootlicking, so it doesn't really matter.
How funny do you think it is that Lolly the Dog's out selling the Young Bucks, probably?
I think it's hilarious. I think it's brilliant, to be perfectly honest. Right, but anyway, now we are finally moving on from AEW, back over to the other side of the fence, onto the new subject of the Women's United States Championship. Now, tournament started this week. Bayley has advanced. Do we know if anybody else has advanced yet? Any
Nobody
spoilers?
else has
No.
B-Fab, no.
No. B-Fab lost the triple threat that she was in with Bayley.
Yeah.
Robbed.
Which was stupid.
Robbed. That's why Bailey's not in the War Games, because she's going to be in the United States Championship final.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you have as the first champion?
What's that?
Myself, Chelsea Green.
No.
I'd put the belt on Chelsea.
Nope.
No.
Who would you give
We're
it
the
to?
biggest Chelsea fans in the world. I'm saying no. Don't do it.
Who would you give it to?
Who'd you give it to?
Piper.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'd be happy to see.
If Chelsea wins a title with her character, it has to be Money in the Bank. Has to be. Her character is not designed to beat or especially win a tournament where she has to be successful like multiple times.
What if Piper's the reason she wins that tournament?
No, I don't see it. I think it's a good way to create something between her and Piper, and it will be a lot of fun. So, and give Piper a chance. It's way too long.
No, I agree. Simon and I, Andy, I know you've probably seen her live a few times as well. Have had the pleasure of watch Piper Niven, whatever you want to call her, many times on the indie circuit. And she is a tremendous worker and a tremendous entertainer.
I mean, one thing I'll say is
give her more of a
keep her
chance.
well away from Bailey. Well away from Bailey.
Just
agreed.
I just think debuting that women's US belt on someone who's not American is that. Jim, you're the American here,
I
right?
can see that.
I don't give a damn. But
Okay.
I'm not part of a certain
Normally-
demographic either.
Normally, when we get a new title, it's a US title or a North American title. It's like an American champion that holds it first, right?
I don't know.
You know.
I mean, do you know what
Can
I wouldn't mind is if Bailey started coming out like pro-Trump and have America, make America great again hat and have the American title. That'd be awesome.
Dude, you can't bring politics into wrestling.
Not these days. Even though the US president is a WWE Hall of Famer.
And now when he proper sold it, sold the gunshot to the ear, didn't he?
Mhm.
What a guy.
It was a gimmick gun. Yeah.
Bingo. Exactly.
Dale, 100% on that. There's no need for women's war games. It's
No, they shoehorned it this year.
to build one. Just we
We
don't need.
shoehorned it this year. All right, gents. But we are fast running out of time. So,
Hold
Wait a
on.
minute.
I said he has something.
go on. Go on.
You're so rude tonight, dude. I know I was late.
I
and I
know.
apologize.
It's one of
Me
them
and
days.
tonight he's always rude.
You
I
asked
know,
us who you
it's what I
thought the first. You asked us who you thought the first female US champion would be, and I've not answered.
So I thought you had my
I'm going
man.
to surprise you with this one. I think you give it to Zelina Vega.
But she's not in the
Ooh.
tournament.
Wait, are the brackets all announced?
Yeah, brackets
Yeah.
are announced.
Yeah,
You want me
no
to
one
tell you
from
what they
Raw.
are? I'll
Okay.
give you the list.
Okay.
It's Bianca, Jade, Piper, Chelsea, and I can't remember the rest.
Hold on, I got you right here. So
Okay.
the first match was Bailey, Candice, and B-Fab. We know Bailey advanced. Boo-hoo. B-Fab should have won. The next match is Bianca, Chelsea Green, and Blair Davenport. Then you have another match between Jade Cargill, Meechin, and Piper Niven. And then the final match is Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez. Now, of the names left, I think it'll be Naomi,
Yeah,
but I think it should be Piper Niven.
I agree. I'd like it to be Chelsea regardless, but I can understand your point for not wanting her to be the first champ.
Do you think it'd be
No.
Jay Cargill you'd give that to for the first one?
Well,
It could be
I
interesting.
think if they go down the Jade route, it's going to be a final of Jade and Bianca because they're on opposite sides of the bracket. And that's where we're going to get the splitting of the team that starts.
Or do you do it where one of them gets put out early, or maybe Bianca gets put out in a bracket? You have Jade win it, and then in the end that causes the turn, but you keep it going a bit longer.
Yeah,
And
Bianca's
this is
not
how
getting out of
we
the first
get
round.
Charlotte. This is how we get Jade Charlotte at WrestleMania, which needs to happen.
Yes, it does. I completely agree. Right, but
Also,
lads,
sorry,
we
one
are
more
fast.
question. One more question on this one. So, obviously, as you probably know by now, well, obviously we do because you just read the fucking names out. All of these women on the US one are all SmackDown women.
Yep.
So
Yes.
does that mean that we're getting an Intercontinental belt on Raw?
I don't think we're getting it yet, but I think we will get it next year.
Is it not just possible that we're going to get the Raw half of the bracket announced on Raw, and we're only actually looking at half?
No,
of
no.
it?
No, 'cause
No,
we were
no.
like,
The graphic shows finals and everything. That's the bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like.
So
the
I
idea
think
of
we
a
will
women's-
get a women's IC title, but I don't think we'll get it till next year.
I saw someone float around a crazy idea of a Netflix title, and I think that would be
Yeah.
a cooler idea to have than just another Intercontinental title. And I think
No, I
that
think that'd be
title
quite good.
works like the TV title, where if you're the Netflix champion, you're guaranteed a match on Raw every week.
Well, would you?
Yeah, well, we're gonna-
instead of calling a Netflix title, would you not call it the streaming championship or something like that, similar to the TV one?
No, because what it does is it gets Netflix name on something, and then when that girl goes and does a press, Netflix's name is on it. And you know,
Yeah,
WWE
I
is
mean,
really
well,
big on
yeah.
branding. So
I suppose what you could do is you could start it maybe. Where are we now? What date is it? The 16th is the 18th.
17th.
So
18th.
you could potentially start it
18th.
in 2
18th.
weeks' time and then have the finals on Netflix's
Makes sense.
first
on
Raw.
the Netflix
Because
debut,
don't forget, the
I
US
don't know.
title, if it's all on SmackDown with SmackDown wrestlers, that ain't going to be on the first Netflix show, is it? Because it's
No.
not on Netflix.
Right.
Well,
But
here's
quick
the
question,
thing.
lads.
Here's the thing about the Netflix thing is I know you guys have everything on Netflix,
Yeah.
but here it's just Raw.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So it's
Yeah.
not going to be on the first episodes of Netflix because it's not on Raw. It's on SmackDown.
Well,
so
I'm saying is
like this tournament's not going to end.
no, not that one. No, I thought you were talking about like the one that's going to be on Raw, which I
No,
would go-
sorry. I mean for this
Yeah.
one that's now the US title one is going to culminate somewhere else, which is why I don't
Saturday
think
main
we're gonna
event.
Yeah. So there you go. But then I'm saying is if you start a Raw one in a couple of weeks' time, that'll combine to
Yeah,
the
okay,
first Raw.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Which
No.
obviously the SmackDown one wasn't ever going to because it's
Did-
SmackDown.
Well,
Throwing in real quick. Did we talk about the new Raw logo before I joined the show?
They've already changed it.
Oh wait, what?
They've already changed it again.
The striker
It's
pose.
just the logo. People, calm down.
no, it is the
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
curved. Now, I didn't watch it, but my friend Chris did. Did anybody watch the Tyson Jake Paul fight?
Yeah.
Nah.
Good.
Unfortunately,
No, good, because it was an absolute travesty, but I don't want to talk about the fight. I want to talk about the stream. Now, Andy, I don't know what it was like for you, but apparently Chris said he had horrendous trouble with buffering.
See,
And so
I
on
can't
and so forth.
comment, and to be honest, this is
That's
where I don't
exciting.
really give a shit because I don't watch it live because obviously time difference over here. But I watched it the next day, and the actual quality of it was absolutely fantastic.
I can comment
There
on the
you go.
live aspect of it, and I can give
Go
you a
on.
solution too. First off, nobody needs to worry about it. I've literally quit boohooing about it, and I put my thinking cap on, and I realized Raw is not going to have 60 million people tuning in to watch their shows live.
No.
It's just not going to happen. So we don't have to worry about that kind of traffic. Also, while I was trying to watch it live, I was definitely having issues. I backed out, and eventually what I did is I started watching it about 2 to 3 minutes behind. And it ran
Yeah.
beautifully. No problems at all. So there
Okay.
are solutions, people. Quit being little babies about it.
Thank you. Okay, and on to the final subject of the week before I get your unpopular wrestling opinions. Andy already brought up the women's intercontinental title, Paul. So, it's a random question, but it's just a random question that's been floating around in my head. Who beats Gunther?
That's agree. I hope nobody. You should have a longer run than Cody. But
No, I agree. He's going to have that belt, but at some point, someone's going to take that belt off Gunther. With the exception of the possible stick it on Punk so he can have the world title for when he races Seth at Mania,
I mean,
I'm having a hard time coming up with someone who is legitimately going to beat Gunther. Cena?
John Cena WrestleMania. Yes.
ooh, I like
See,
that one.
I think he should lose at WrestleMania and then win at SummerSlam.
That's the wrong way around, dude.
Yeah, probably.
No.
He'll lose it at SummerSlam. I agree with Say on that one.
Because when it comes to Ric Flair's record, Flair arguably had like 18, 19, 20, 21 world titles.
21.
It was 20. I thought it was
Yeah.
24.
It-
Might be
it's-
24. As far as I know, it's 21.
Whereas WWE only acknowledged 16.
And
So-
well, do you know what? This is the one time when I don't really care about WWE acknowledging that for that knobhead, just to get him off the record.
Right. But anyway, my theory on Cena is that my idea for Cena, anyway, is because he said this is going to be a January to December run. Right? So it's not a pay-per-view to pay-per-view run, it's January to December. Now, if you have him, Royal Rumble season starts, John Cena's like, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. Right? He doesn't win the Royal Rumble. First hurdle that he has to overcome, because that's what John Cena does. He readjusts and he overcomes. We then get to Elimination Chamber. This is how Cena's going to get into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He fails at Elimination Chamber.
I know.
And then
you're booking him like Randy Orton's been booked the past 12 months.
No. He wins Elimination Chamber, but he wins because he's the last man in and he just gets lucky. And then Gunther plays on that. Like, you're only in this position because you're lucky, because you've done nothing but fail the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then,
so he gets to WrestleMania. Gunther wins. Gunther doesn't just win. Gunther wins handedly.
yes.
This puts Cena back. This puts Cena back to the drawing board, where he starts questioning himself. He starts wondering, have I
just
still
ask you a
got this?
question? Sorry, Nick, just to give on with
Of course
you.
you
I
can.
know Jimmy was saying he should win at last man and all like that, but you said he loses Royal Rumble, he loses the Elimination Chamber. How does he get to come for it Mania then?
Yeah, that's what I was like.
How many weeks are there between Mania and Elimination Chamber? 4 or 6?
There's like 6 now.
6.
But the Elimination Chamber would be
6.
No, the Elimination Chamber is for the title. So I mean, there's no number one contender chosen there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So even if we did it in the Elimination Chamber, either way, I'm going with he wins a gauntlet match on Raw to become number one contender, because they love their gauntlet matches on Raw. So Cena comes in last in a gauntlet match, wins the gauntlet match, and that's how he gets to Mania. Gunther, yet again, uses the same excuse. The only reason you got here is because you were the last man in the match. You wouldn't have been able to get through. You're past it, blah, blah, blah. And as I said, he beats him handedly at WrestleMania. And I mean, beat the living snot out of John Cena at WrestleMania. This sends John Cena back. I know, but this sends John Cena back to the drawing board in his own head of, can I still do this? Have I still got this? We build Cena up with a few more victories over the likes of Bron Breakker and so on as he gets towards Summer. Yes, as he has to beat Breakker. As he gets towards SummerSlam, right? When he gets to SummerSlam, you can disagree all you like. This is my theory. When he gets to SummerSlam, John Cena finally wins the world title. Right? Doesn't necessarily have to win it clean. Somebody can interfere, but I'd like to see it done as a clean victory so he can finally win the 17th record. He is not turning heel in this run before anybody starts because it makes no goddamn sense for John Cena to turn heel. Right? So Gunther loses at SummerSlam. Cena then goes on his run with his last world title up until about October.
So what's that, about 6 weeks?
SummerSlam to October.
It's about 6 weeks.
SummerSlam. Yeah, it's about 6 weeks.
Fine. That's fine. All right, so until about October. He then drops the belt in October, and I'm not entirely sure who to. Probably Gunther again. I'd be fine with that. Which leads up to his last match in the Boston Garden, whatever the Boston Garden is now called,
TD Garden,
against Randy Orton, which he will lose and go out on his back. And that is how John Cena ends his career. He puts over his biggest rival in the biggest match he possibly can. He's broken the record, and everything works.
I'll just say one thing. I'll say 2 things here. One, my pick to beat Gunther is Dominic Mysterio when he wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashes in on him. But I will accept John Cena defeating Gunther at SummerSlam to win the title if Dominic Mysterio cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase directly after that, and John Cena's reign lasts for fucking 2
You know what, mate?
That's what I'm doing, baby.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that.
That's why I'm the
right. What? Even think Tom Alton think either cashing in the Money in the Bank just after he's won would make perfect sense.
Yeah, it would. Right, anyway, lads, we are out of time. So, quick question. Unpopular wrestling opinions this week. Simon?
In a nutshell, you're all going to hate on me for this one. We don't need a mid-card women's title. There's barely enough time for all the women on TV as there is. We have a belt for each brand. We have a tag strap. All you're doing in creating that championship is making title defenses more sparse between the whole division, or taking time off the men's division, which isn't fair either. So I just think it's the wrong time for it.
Okay. Andy?
Bron Breakker's got about as much charisma as a used condom.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that's widely agreed fact.
It is the unpopular opinion.
Jim?
Okay, minus Mercedes Moné, AEW's women's division is the best women's division in wrestling. I enjoy the entire division except for what Mercedes Moné does.
I don't know how unpopular an opinion this is, but Mercedes Moné is the most overrated and overpaid wrestler on the planet.
You have to pick a different one. That does not count at all.
Okay.
That is not unpopular at all.
That's opinion of the
In that case, the amount of time Tony Storm is having a game off television is a good thing.
She'll be back in full gear.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one the end of the year?
No, next week.
This weekend coming, dude.
It's this weekend.
Yeah. No, Saturday. Right, but gents, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for joining us, even though you two couldn't make it on time, but you still made it, and that is what matters.
He couldn't help himself, could he, Si? He had to get his little pitch stick in there, didn't he?
Yep. Yes, I did, because I'm allowed.
Unlike you, Nicholas, we have commitments.
At 7 o'clock at night?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
What time did you wake up at?
One person out of the four of us that doesn't have children.
Yeah,
what time did you wake up at?
I know, so I'm allowed to make these judges. I've been up since 6:30 this morning.
All right, okay. Makes a change.
Right, either way, lads, we are out of time. Jimmy, plug away.
Just follow me over on this right here. And then you'll know where to find me on what I do, because I have a bunch of stuff coming up. And if you've won over to the Bluer Skies area, I'm over there too, but I'm not going to interact with as much because it's not as fun, honestly.
Right, anything to plug, you two?
No.
That's it. Okay. Well, you can thank you for joining us here at Wrestling Legion. I really appreciate it. Love everybody that tunes in. If you would like some more wrestling reviews, as of the 29th, I believe, of this month, you will find myself and Jimmy doing on every single month until the day that we die. We'll be reviewing Monday Nitro. We are starting with the very first episode, and we are going to do one episode a month until we have ran through all 496 episodes.
We might do 2 a month at sometimes if I have that time.
Yeah, but at the moment it's going to be 1 a month.
That's all you need.
It's going to be loads of fun. And if you like computer gaming, you can find me over at Geek Gaming every single night streaming live. At the moment, I'm streaming WWE 2K24. I'm streaming Ghost of Tsushima. I am streaming GM mode. I'm streaming whatever I end up playing at the time.
And the best thing is you can't see his face.
No, you can't see my face. You can't even hear my voice right now because I don't even have my sound set up. So if you just want to see some basic gameplay of somebody who is reasonably good at a game, tune in. It's always fun.
Undersell yourself. He's awesome. Go watch awesome gameplay, not basic. It's amazing.
If it's at Monster Hunter, if I'm doing Monster Hunter, I'm friggin' amazing. But if it's anything else, I'm just about average.
It's called Virgin Gaming. Go watch it.
It's called The Geek Gaming. Ignore him.
Same thing.
Hey,
Ignore
why are you pointing at me, bro?
No, sorry, I get confused on the camera. Him. Ignore him. Okay, but either way, thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. If you do enjoy what we do here at Wrestling Legion, please like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm knows we exist. And until then, always remember, we are but 3 geeks obsessed with a good show. And our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments. Yeah, I know, but Jimmy's not one of the 3 geeks.
I'm not a geek, I'm a king.
Jimmy's our special guest.
Okay, well, you let Si say his thing.
You always have to ruin my sign-off. That was a perfect sign-off going in. Two guys sign-off. I say that, then Si says his bit, and then we finish. But you always have to ruin the intros or ruin the sign-offs.
This is all about Si now. Go, Si.
Wrestling Legion. We make it make sense.
Toodles.